Well, here we are, friends. We've reached the end of the road. Final week of the preseason. We got 8 games for Saturday, though. We're going to talk about them. We'll dig in. Of course, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. All of my Sunday plays, as you already know, you can find them in the Odd Shopper Marketplace. Just download the app, set it up. I got a bunch of free ones in there, but if you want to join me for all of the Sunday plays, everything I do as well throughout the NFL season, you'll get all of them early. You'll get everything that isn't here on YouTube, right? So all of my player props, all of the spots for the game-by-game breakdowns, you're going to get them days earlier before the lines move because I can't put the video out that early. All of that in there. Get in at a really affordable price, or maybe you just want to help support your boy and all the work I'm putting out here on YouTube, and we'll win some money elsewhere outside of just here, whatever it may be. Come hang out, say what's up in the Discord when you do. Be happy to welcome you to the family. But aside from that, let's dive into it. 8 games for Saturday's preseason slate. All right, let's kick it off with Steelers and Lions. Steelers 6.5-point favorites, 35-point total. We should probably talk about the fact, right, that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields played the entirety of last week's game against the Bills and were held to 3 points. I think that's noteworthy. So I'm not surprised that Tomlin intends on playing his starters this week at all. I mean, you think about it, I think they probably each get a quarter and a half, maybe more. I don't know. It's tough to say with how poorly this team has performed. Too many sacks, too many miscues, fumbles, penalties, all of that stuff. But I would definitely still expect to see Kyle Allen in the second half of this game too. I can't imagine that Fields and Wilson play the entire game again, unless like Wilson gets a half and Fields gets a quarter. I still think he gets something out of Kyle Allen though, that fourth quarter. But for the Lions, I'd expect to see a lot of Hendon Hooker. He put points on the board in 3 of his 6 possessions last week. Looked pretty good. Nate Sudfeld's going to play too. So according to Dan Campbell, here's what he said. I do the heavy lifting for you guys so you can tune in and just go about your business. If you want to tail these picks, awesome. If not, at least you got all the information you need. I scour the internet for this nonsense, but we come up every time and we're never empty-handed. Sometimes we are. But yeah, so Sudfeld's going to play. Dan Campbell said the priority this week is Hendon Hooker, with Sudfeld also getting some reps, and he doesn't expect Jake Fromm to see the field. He's their 4th-stringer. They signed him when Hooker was hurt. So I think Hooker's going to play a lot, like 3 quarters. Maybe you get a quarter from Sudfeld. And of the 8 games on this slate, we got plenty of good ones. This isn't one of my favorites, but I'd actually lean Lions because you can get them at +7 on Caesars and at Bet365, okay? And I don't think the Hooker-Sudfeld combo is all that bad, especially with absolutely how ghastly this Steelers offense has looked early on, and they can't protect the quarterback. Everything's been terrible. So if I'm betting, I haven't bet this one yet. I'll let you know the ones I have, but I'd go Lions +7 if you're getting it on Bet365 or Caesars. Vikings at the Eagles. All right, Eagles laying 2.5, 33.5-point total here. You've got Jaron Hall and Matt Corral for the Vikings this week. Fun. And based on what we've seen from Nick Sirianni in the past, my educated guess is we get a couple drives from Kenny Pickett, if that, and then most of the game for Tanner McKee and a few series for Will Grier. That makes the most sense. It's not exactly a fun game here, okay? But Hall looked good against Cleveland, threw 2 touchdown passes. One of them was a 71-yard, beautifully dropped ball down the sideline. I don't know if he can do it again. And McKee hasn't played poorly either. He's not finding the end zone, but he's been very efficient. And Pickett hasn't been stellar, but he's been accurate, albeit nothing really downfield. One interesting wrinkle, though, here is that Sirianni's defense has been historically terrible in week 3. I know defensive coordinators have changed. You got Fangio there now. But the quality of the player on the field is more or less the same, right? When you're looking at like week 3 and how he decides to work these rotations to cut it down to a 53-man roster. Sirianni's points allowed in week 3 since 2021, 31, 48, and 27. And I know through the first 2 weeks, unders are 26 and 7, but I think hear me out here. I think these books may have adjusted down a little bit too much for week 3. Get this, last year, in week 3, the average score, actual total score, when all was said and done, was 41.3 points. The crazy part, though, is that overs in that week were 10 and 6. You go, all right, that's nothing crazy, right? It could have just as easily been 8 and 8. Sure, but the average game total in those games was 38. This year, it's 34. So they've adjusted down a ton from last season. And what has really changed? Give me over 33.5 points in this game, seeing what we know about Sirianni and from how some of these totals have looked going into week 3. Rams at the Texans. All right, Houston laying 3.5, 33.5 point total here. We already know Sean McVay is not going to play a starter. He never does in the preseason. In years 2021 and 2022, Bryce Perkins played the entire week 3. I think one of those years he played the entirety of the preseason, all 12 quarters. Last year, it was Brett Rippon, Stetson Bennett, and Dresser Wynn. There's no chance Matthew Stafford played, plus these guys had a joint practice. And Sean McVay already said that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to play in the preseason. So we go right back to where we started from. Stetson Bennett and Dresser Wynn. That should inspire confidence in all of you. Bennett's played every single snap for the Rams this season, or this preseason. Every single snap, all right? 57 passer rating, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. 4 of them came in one game. Just fucking terrible. But Wynn could get some reps. Does it really make a difference, though? My guess is we don't see Stroud this week either. All right, like joint practices. Stroud played in weeks 1 and 2. I know last year he played week 3, but he was a rookie. That's a big difference, right? And you had a rookie head coach in D'Amico Ryans. But it's tough trying to figure out who's going to play the bulk of quarterback reps here because the Texans had that Hall of Fame game. So this is their game number 4. No matter what the combination is, though, like let's say Stroud plays a little, he doesn't play at all. You can't really tell me that Davis Mills, the trio with Davis Mills, Case Keenum, and Tim Boyle, in any fashion, no matter how you want to spin that, it's still better than Stetson Bennett and Dresser Wynn. McVay's 2-0 in the preseason this year, but the Rams scored 13 points in both of those games. All right, and one of them was against Easton Stick, who we'll talk about momentarily. If you've been following, you know he hasn't exactly been fantastic. And he had lost 8 of 9 going back to 2021 when this 3-game preseason format started. So you know where I'm going here. Give me Texans minus 3.5 against this Rams team. Ravens at the Packers. Packers 3-point favorites, 33.5 point total. All right, both teams had joint practices this week, and both coaches, both teams, both quarterbacks said they went really well for them. Harbaugh never plays the starters in the preseason. Shit, I wouldn't even be surprised if he doesn't play Josh Johnson this week. He's done that before, right? Like he could just play Devin Leary and Emory Jones. Tyler Huntley didn't play week 3 last year. And in 2022, he was on the field for 7 plays. I don't know what Matt LaFleur is going to do. When asked about his starters, he just smugly responded, "We'll see." Smug character. I don't even dislike it, but man, he seems to have a real aversion to the media. I don't think they play their starters, though. Jordan Love said he feels like they're ready for the start of the regular season. And if they do, what do you get, a series or 2? So this game's going to be mostly or all Sean Clifford, Michael Pratt. So it's actually one of the spots where I do like the under, right? You've seen very low scoring games from Baltimore already. Last week, the Denver Broncos managed 2 points. And if you know anything about football, the 2 points sure as shit weren't coming from offense. So under 33 is actually a spot I like here for week 3. Panthers at the Bills. Carolina's a 4.5 point favorite, 30.5 point total. All right, look, if you want to bet this game, grab the Bills money line at plus 190 on FanDuel. Honestly, if I'm getting to this game, it's not going to be the Panthers. Yeah, I know Dave Canales he plans on playing his starters. Fine. But how much confidence do you have in Bryce Young after what we saw last season? Sure, he's probably taken some step forward, but you're not getting me laying 4.5 points, especially against the Bills team that even if it's some backups, they're still a really well-coached team. Do you think Bryce Young, they just cruise downfield and route to 2 touchdowns? I don't know. I'm not convinced they play much either. And Andy Dalton's expected to get some work too, which is nice, but like just such a dysfunctional team last year, rookie head coach, you're not going to convince me otherwise. They held the Steelers too. The Bills held the Steelers to 3 points last week with a full game from Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And even with Sean McDermott sitting his starters, I'm not confident in the Panthers. So I don't like the total either. I have no feel for 30.5 is just egregiously low. But also, what are we supposed to expect from these teams? Because I don't have a lot of confidence in Ben DiNucci or Anthony Brown either. So here's what I do. I have a quarter unit bet on the Bills money line. Nothing more and nothing else. Plus 190. Because I just have such little confidence in the Carolina Panthers. Chargers at the Cowboys. Dallas minus 3.5. Yep. 33 point total. Easton Stick's just been terrible this preseason. Terrible. There's no 2 ways around it. He's averaging 4.5 yards per attempt, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, lost a fumble. And now he's expected to play the entire game against Dallas. Meanwhile, it's looking like Trey Lance is going to get the entire game for the Cowboys. He's played significantly better than Easton Stick has. Now, look, it's a couple games and who knows what happens. Maybe Stick figures it out. Maybe Trey Lance stinks. But Trey Lance possesses that rushing upside that really can help in a preseason game as well. He leads the Cowboys in rushing yards with 78 yards on 13 attempts and the rushing touchdown through the first two games. I'll take Dallas minus 3.5 here strictly because of this matchup between Easton Stick and Trey Lance. Giants at the Jets. Giants are 2.5-point favorites here, 31-point total. Okay, Daniel Jones played the entire first half last week. So, yes, I know that we've seen an uncommitted or non-committal, I should say, Brian Dable when it comes to who's going to play in this game. But I expect Tommy DeVito to play the entire game, honestly. Drew Lock's an emergency quarterback, so they don't want to play him. Robert Saleh is not going to play his starters either. They had joint practices this week. The Jets have had joint practices all 3 weeks this season, and the Giants have done it in weeks 1 and 3. So they've seen a lot out of their starters. And you get no Aaron Rodgers. Also no Tyrod Taylor, though. So it's Adrian Martinez and Andrew Peasley each getting a half. I'd still lean Jets money line at plus 125 on Bet365. By the way, if you want to sign up on Bet365, if you're in any of the states right here that are available, I'm in PA now, so they just went live. I can bet it there. I bet a 2.5 unit play on the Niners first quarter. So let's hope that works out tonight. I'm recording this Friday morning. But you bet 5, you get $150. Just deposit 10, bet only 5, instantly get $155 in bonus bets. Got to be 21 years or older to gamble. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. You guys know that. But if you're in any of those states, grab those bonus bets going into the preseason. Bet365 is the best spot to get it at plus 125. And look, the reason I do it is because I know that he was a hero last year, but DeVito's still Tommy DeVito, all right? He's still Tommy DeVito. And Martinez and Peasley, they're not great. We know that. But Robert Saleh's 9-2-1 straight up in the preseason with 3 of those wins, 3-0 against the New York Giants in the preseason. So in a matchup that I look at is just even, I don't want to take the Giants points. I don't want to take the Jets inside of a field goal. I know key numbers don't mean as much in the preseason, but still. So if I see it as a pretty even spot, why wouldn't I just grab the money line at plus money, plus 125 on Bet365? Lastly, Browns and Seahawks. Seahawks are 1-point favorites. This is a toss-up game, real toss-up game, 36.5-point total. If I had to bet this, it's over 36.5. And I know Tyler Huntley, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, basketball mode. Dorian Thompson-Robinson haven't looked good this preseason. But as far as the QB3 and QB4 go, they're better than almost all of them. And Deshaun Watson's expected to play. How much? I don't know. My guess is Jameis Winston plays a bit too since he didn't play in week 2. But Mike McDonald also said that he won't be, that he'll be playing his starters. So if that's the case, then there's a couple spots here, or one spot here that I like. Also, let's not ignore the fact that Sam Howell's actually looked pretty damn good throughout the preseason. And I expect him to play a good amount here. Offense has been minimal for both teams through the first 2 weeks, but the pieces are still there to where, and not to mention, the pieces are still there for the quarterbacks. And they're going to be playing against the straight roster bubble defenders for a lot of this game. I think the over makes sense here. Over 36.5. Appreciate you guys hanging out as always. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, follow me over on X at Loughy_D, Loughy_D. And if you want to have a great season, close out the preseason, Sunday picks, and a full NFL season, every single pick I have, all my props, everything. Love to have you come join me in the Odd Shopper Marketplace and the Premium Discord. Again, links to everything are in the description. I will see you over there. Have a great rest of the day, rest of the week. We'll catch you back here for week 1. Peace.